What if I told you that everything you think you know about human nature is only the surface? What if beneath the surface, there's a whole world of forces, hidden drivers of your behavior and the behavior of those around you? Welcome to the rabbit hole of human nature, where understanding these forces isn't just an intellectual pursuit, it's a map to master your life. If you're a visual learner or you just don't have the spare 30 hours right now to get through this book, then you've come to the right place. We'll be discussing a wide range of topics that might pique your curiosity, such as gender projection types, zeitgeist, aggression, cults, and so much more. These are powerful concepts that can change the way you perceive human behavior and motivations. Ready to begin? Let's jump in. Law 10, the law of envy. Beware the fragile ego. Imagine this. You're watching a friend succeed in something you've always wanted, and instead of feeling happiness for them, a seed of discomfort begins to grow inside of you. It's envy, subtle yet powerful. It's one of the trickiest emotions to handle because it often disguises itself as something else: disappointment, insecurity, or even frustration. But at its core, envy reveals a deep truth about us, how we see ourselves in relation to others. Envy thrives on comparison, on the belief that someone else's success diminishes our own potential. It's easy to dismiss envy as a momentary feeling, but when left unchecked, it can consume your thoughts and actions. You might find yourself sabotaging your own efforts, undermining others, or feeling paralyzed by the success of others. The trick is to recognize it for what it is, a reflection of your own insecurities. When we look at someone else's success with resentment, we often miss the opportunity to learn and grow from their experiences. To combat envy, you must first become aware of it. Begin by observing the micro-expressions of those around you. The way their eyes momentarily look at you with disdain or, in contrast, the hidden joy they show when something goes wrong in your life. These are signs of envy. Pay attention to how you feel in moments of comparison and ask yourself why. Is it their success that bothers you, or is it your own perceived shortcomings? Rather than responding with hostility or resentment, embrace a mindset of gratitude and admiration. Instead of focusing on the differences, acknowledge the strengths that others possess and allow their success to motivate you rather than diminish you. Envy can either be a destructive force or a springboard for self-reflection and growth. Choose the latter. Law 11, the law of grandiosity. Know your limits. Throughout history, we've seen countless individuals who reach great heights only to fall from them in an instant. This is the trap of grandiosity, a belief in one's limitless potential that leads to the exaggeration of one's abilities and accomplishments. When we allow our ego to grow unchecked, we begin to believe we are invincible, that we are immune to failure, and that the rules that apply to others don't apply to us. This is where the gods punish us for our arrogance, making us pay a heavy price for flying too high. Think about it. How often do you catch yourself overestimating your skills or ignoring the advice of others because you believe your way is the only right way? Grandiosity is often the result of a society that places too much emphasis on success and status, especially in today's era of social media and instant gratification. We start to think that the more attention we get, the more significant we become, and we lose touch with reality. But real power comes from knowing your limitations. It's not about being the loudest or the most arrogant in the room. It's about understanding your strengths and weaknesses and working within your capacity to maximize your potential. To overcome grandiosity, it's essential to be honest with yourself, acknowledge that we all have flaws and limitations, and that true greatness doesn't come from pretending we don't. The key to overcoming grandiosity lies in self-awareness. Recognize your weaknesses and use them as stepping stones for growth. Embrace humility and understand that the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know. Real growth doesn't come from inflated egos, it comes from self-discipline, constant learning, and the willingness to admit when you're wrong. Law 12, the law of gender rigidity. Reconnect to the masculine or feminine within you. For centuries, society has imposed rigid roles on us, often dictating what it means to be masculine or feminine. We are told that men must be strong, decisive, and assertive, while women must be nurturing, gentle, and passive. But what happens when we restrict ourselves to these narrow definitions? We lose touch with the full spectrum of human traits that define us. Everyone possesses both masculine and feminine qualities, but society often forces us to suppress the opposite energy within us to fit into predefined roles. Carl Jung, the renowned psychologist, coined the concepts of the anima and animus to explain the unconscious feminine side of men and the masculine side of women, respectively. These energies are not mutually exclusive, they are parts of us all. When we neglect one side of our nature, we risk becoming imbalanced, leading to frustration, emotional disconnection, and a lack of self-understanding. By reconnecting with the parts of ourselves we've repressed, we can unlock new dimensions of strength, creativity, and personal fulfillment. It's not about abandoning gender roles entirely, but embracing the traits we've been conditioned to suppress. Men can tap into their softer, more compassionate side, while women can channel assertiveness and ambition without guilt. When we balance these energies, we become more whole, more authentic, and more resilient. Law 13, the law of aimlessness, advance with a sense of purpose. He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow. This powerful quote from Friedrich Nietzsche encapsulates the importance of having a clear sense of purpose in life. Without it, we become directionless, wandering through life with no clear destination. This aimlessness leads to insecurity, dissatisfaction, and a lack of fulfillment. The root cause of this is the absence of a greater vision, something that drives us to overcome the obstacles life throws at us. Without purpose, we can fall into the trap of chasing fleeting pleasures, external validation, or shallow achievements. These false purposes, whether they're rooted in materialism, status, or momentary enjoyment, distract us from what really matters. But with a clear purpose, we gain the clarity and motivation needed to face life's challenges head-on. We no longer act out of fear or insecurity. Instead, we are guided by a vision that transcends temporary setbacks. To develop this sense of purpose, reflect on your past experiences. What made you feel truly alive? What activities gave you a sense of flow and fulfillment? Start small by setting attainable goals that align with your long-term vision. And don't be afraid to adjust your goals as you evolve. Your purpose will grow with you. The more you refine your sense of purpose, the clearer your path will become, and the stronger you'll feel in your journey forward. Law 14, the law of conformity. Resist the downward pull of the group. As humans, we are naturally social beings. From the moment we are born, we are influenced by the group around us, whether it's family, peers, or society at large. The need to fit in, to belong, is so ingrained in our DNA that we often conform to group behavior, ideas, and expectations without even realizing it. This is the power of group dynamics, and it's one of the strongest forces shaping our actions. However, this need to belong can also drag us down. Think about the countless times you found yourself following the crowd, even when you knew deep down it wasn't the best choice. It's all too easy to mimic others' opinions, beliefs, and behaviors simply to avoid standing out. But here's the danger. When we blindly follow the group, we lose sight of our own values and desires. We risk becoming just another cog in the machine, losing our individuality and our ability to think critically. The challenge is to resist this downward pull of conformity. It's about having the courage to stand alone when necessary, to question the status quo, and to trust your own judgment over the collective one. While it's important to consider the group's perspective, we must also ensure we're not losing ourselves in the process. By practicing this awareness, you create space for independent thought, and you reclaim your personal power. True strength lies not in blending in, but in knowing when and how to stand out, even when it feels uncomfortable. Don't be afraid to carve your own path, even if it means going against the grain. Conformity can sometimes help us fit in, but authenticity helps us grow. Law 15, the law of fickleness. Make them want to follow you. People are unpredictable. We change our minds, our preferences, and our loyalties all the time. In the world of power and influence, this fickleness is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it can be a challenge for anyone in leadership to maintain trust and loyalty from their followers. On the other hand, it provides a unique opportunity for those who can harness it. As a leader, you can never fully control how others perceive you. They will fluctuate in their opinions of you depending on circumstances, their emotional state, or even their own insecurities. But instead of resisting this fickleness, embrace it. To make people want to follow you, you must understand the underlying causes of their fluctuating behavior and use that knowledge to your advantage. One way to do this is by creating an aura of mystery and unpredictability. People are drawn to what they can't easily understand or control. When you master the art of remaining adaptable and somewhat elusive, you increase your allure and influence. But this doesn't mean being deliberately manipulative. It means mastering the balance between showing just enough to keep people intrigued and leaving some things to the imagination. People want to follow someone who can spark their curiosity, someone who isn't easily predictable. They want to follow someone who surprises them, challenges them, and keeps them on their toes. And this isn't just about playing mind games. It's about creating a dynamic where others feel motivated and inspired to follow your lead. Law 16, the law of aggression. See the hostility behind the friendly facade. When we think of aggression, we often imagine outright hostility or violence. But aggression can also manifest in more subtle, passive forms. It's important to understand that beneath the calm, polite exterior that many people present, there can be a deep well of aggression just waiting to surface. This is especially true in environments where competition is fierce or where insecurity runs high. Think of the classic example of a nice colleague who is always polite, friendly, and supportive, yet behind the scenes, they undermine others, spread rumors, or sabotage your work. Aggression doesn't always look like an angry outburst. It can often be disguised as kindness, politeness, or charm. But the intent behind it is the same: to gain control, to manipulate, or to break down others for personal gain. To recognize aggression in its more subtle forms, it's crucial to pay attention to body language, microexpressions, and small gestures that betray someone's true feelings. The eyes, for example, are often the first place where hostile intentions are revealed. An envious or aggressive person may momentarily glance at you with a look of disdain or hostility, even while smiling. The key to handling aggressive people, whether overt or covert, is to remain calm and composed. Don't let their hostility push your emotional buttons. Stay grounded in your own sense of self-worth and recognize that aggression often stems from insecurity and fear. By not reacting with aggression of your own, you can disarm them, making their attempts at control futile. Law 17, the law of generational myopia. Recognize the influence of your generation. We often like to think of ourselves as independent thinkers, but the truth is, we are all products of our time. The generation we are born into profoundly influences the way we see the world, the values we hold, and the decisions we make. This phenomenon, known as generational myopia, traps us into viewing the world only through the lens of our own era, limiting our understanding of broader historical perspectives. Think about it. Each generation has its own defining characteristics, its own ideals, fears, and ambitions. The way we approach issues like technology, politics, and even personal relationships is shaped by the generation we belong to. But the trap lies in becoming too attached to our own worldview, believing that the way things are now is the only way they could have ever been. To break free from generational myopia, we need to recognize how deeply our generation has shaped our identity and understand that each period in history has its own unique spirit. The way to overcome this limitation is to constantly challenge our own beliefs, question the norms of our time, and embrace a more inclusive, multifaceted worldview. By doing so, we can transcend the narrow confines of our generation and see the world in a much broader, more profound way. Understanding the influence of your generation is not about rejecting it, but about recognizing its impact and using that awareness to expand your own thinking. This will give you the freedom to make decisions that are more aligned with your true purpose, not just the collective will of your peers. Law 18, the law of death denial. Meditate on our common mortality. One of the most powerful and, at times, uncomfortable aspects of human existence is the reality of death. It's a topic we often avoid, fearing it too much to confront directly. However, it's through this very awareness of mortality that we can truly live our lives to the fullest. Death is the greatest equalizer. It doesn't discriminate based on wealth, status, or achievement. Every living being must eventually face it. Yet, for many, the thought of death is often pushed aside, hidden behind distractions and busy lives. We deny our mortality because acknowledging it feels like a loss of control, a vulnerability we'd rather not embrace. But paradoxically, this denial is what prevents us from truly experiencing life. It keeps us trapped in meaningless routines, constantly chasing goals and possessions that we can't take with us in the end. The key to living with purpose, therefore, is to accept death not as something to fear, but as something to use as a guide. When we embrace the reality of our mortality, we are reminded to focus on what truly matters: the relationships we build, the legacy we create, and the moments that fill our hearts with joy. Life is short, and time is our most valuable asset. By understanding that our time is finite, we gain a sense of urgency and clarity that propels us to take action in ways we might otherwise delay. The practice of contemplating death is not morbid, but transformative. It can bring us peace, knowing that we are living authentically and fully, making choices that reflect our deepest values. When we accept the inevitability of death, we liberate ourselves from the fear and anxiety that often holds us back. We stop wasting time on trivial matters, and instead, we focus on what truly matters: our growth, our connections, and our impact on the world. To truly embrace life, we must also embrace death. This isn't a call to live recklessly, but rather to live intentionally. It's about taking time to reflect on our goals and desires, and realizing that we only have so many days to achieve them. Death, then, becomes a reminder to live fully, not in fear of it, but in acknowledgement of its inevitability. The knowledge of our mortality makes every moment more precious, and in doing so, it helps us make the most of the time we have. As we've journeyed through the 18 laws of human nature, from the intricacies of envy to the power of purpose and generational influence, one thing becomes clear: human behavior is deeply complex. The forces that govern us are not always visible, and the subtle emotions and drives we experience often shape our interactions in ways we don't fully comprehend. But understanding these laws, recognizing the motivations behind human actions, and mastering how we respond to them gives us an incredible advantage in navigating our personal and professional lives. By being aware of these forces, we free ourselves from the unconscious patterns that typically drive us, allowing us to make deliberate, thoughtful decisions rather than simply reacting to the whims of human nature. Whether it's handling rejection, managing envy, or embracing our sense of purpose, we now have the tools to turn these challenges into opportunities for growth. So, the question now becomes, how will you use this knowledge? Will you allow the complexities of human nature to trap you in the cycle of impulsive reactions? Or will you rise above them and consciously guide your own behavior? Your awareness of these laws is your first step. Now it's time to put them into action. The choice is yours. Embrace the wisdom of the ages and use it to master your destiny. If this video has resonated with you and sparked a desire to dig deeper into understanding yourself and the world around you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for more content. Share your thoughts and any personal experiences in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you've applied these laws in your life or how you plan to. Let's keep the conversation going and continue to learn together. Thank you for watching.